Harry, will you please try to pay attention? I mean, this has gone far enough, this lack of interest in locating more Horcruxes. It's not my fault. Everyone's just an obsession with finding these Horcruxes. Obsession? Obsession, Harry? We're not the ones with an obsession, Harry. We are the ones trying to do what Dumbledore wanted us to do. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. I thought it was you-know-who we were supposed to be fighting. All right, guys. Let's go over it again. Perhaps Ron's only taking charge because he was determined to make up for having walked out on us. Okay, 3 Horcruxes left. We need a plan for action. Come on, where haven't we looked? Let's go through it again. The Orphanage, Diagon Alley, Hogwarts, the Riddle House, Bogan and Burke's, Albania, every place we knew Tom Riddle had ever lived, worked, visited, or murdered. We're going over them over and over again. Ugh. You never know. Hey, Upper Fladgley is a wizarding village. He might want to go and live there. Let's go and have a poke around. I don't know, Ron. I mean, we might run into snatchers. Some of them are supposed to be as bad as Death Eaters. There's a lot that got me were a bit pathetic, but Bill reckons some of them are really dangerous. They sit on Potter Watch on what? Oh, Potter Watch, I didn't tell you? That's what it's called. The program I keep trying to get on the radio. The only one that tells the truth about what's going on. Nearly all the programs are following you-know-who's line, all except Potter Watch. I really want you to hear it. It's tricky tuning in, though. Man, ugh. You know, the passwords are something usually to do with the order. Bill had a real knack for guessing them. I'm bound to get one in the end. I've got it! The password was Albus. Get in here, Harry! Hermione, come here! We apologize for our temporary absence from the airwaves, which was due to a number of house calls in our area by those charming Death Eaters. It's Lee Jordan! I know, cool, eh? Found ourselves another secure location, and I'm pleased to tell you that 2 of our regular contributors have joined me here this evening. Evening, boys. Hi. Evening, River. River, that's Lee. They've all got to use code names, but you can usually tell. Shh! But before we hear from Royal and Romulus, let's take a moment to report those deaths the Wizarding Wireless Network News and the Daily Prophet don't think important enough to mention. It is with great regret that we inform our listeners of the murders of Ted Tonks and Dirk Cresswell. A goblin named Gornook was also killed. It is believed that Muggle-born Dean Thomas and a second goblin, both believed to have been travelling with Tonks, Cresswell, and Gornook, may have escaped. If Dean is listening, or if anyone has any knowledge of his whereabouts, his parents and sisters are desperate for news. Meanwhile, in Gadley, a Muggle family of 5 has been found dead in their home. Muggle authorities are attributing the deaths as to a gas leak, but members of the Order of the Phoenix inform me that it was the killing curse. Yes, more evidence as if we're needed, of the fact that Muggle slaughter is becoming little more than a recreational sport under the new regime. Finally, we regret to inform our listeners that the remains of Bathilda Bagshot have been discovered in Godric's Hollow. The evidence is that she died several months ago. The Order of the Phoenix informs us that her body showed unmistakable signs of injuries inflicted by dark magic. Listeners, I'd like to invite you now to join us in a minute's silence in memory of Ted Tonks, Dirk Cresswell, Bathilda Bagshot, Gornick, and the unnamed but no less regretted Muggles murdered by the Death Eaters. Thank you. And now we return to our regular contributor, Royal, for an update on how the new Wizarding Order is affecting the Muggle world. Thanks, River. Kingsley, we know! Shh! Muggles remain ignorant of the source of their suffering. They continue to sustain heavy casualties. However, we continue to hear truly inspirational stories of wizards and witches risking their own safety to protect their Muggle friends or neighbours, often without the Muggles' knowledge, I might add. I'd like to appeal to all of our listeners to emulate their example, perhaps by casting a protective charm over any Muggle dwelling in your street. Many lives could be saved if such simple measures are taken. And what would you like to say, Royal, to those listeners who reply that these dangerous times it should be wizards first? I say that one step short from wizards first to purebloods first, and then Death Eaters.
We're all human, aren't we? Every human life is worth the same and worth saving."
Excellently put, Royal. You've got my vote for Minister of Magic if we ever get out of this mess. And now, over to Romulus for our popular feature, Pals of Potter.
Thanks, River.
We know it's Lupin. Shh! Romulus, do you maintain, as you have every time you've appeared on our program, that Harry Potter is still alive? I do. There is no doubt at all my mind that his death would be proclaimed as widely as possible by the Death Eaters if it had happened, because it would strike a deadly blow at the morale of those resisting the new regime. The boy who lived remains a symbol of everything for which we are fighting, the triumph of good, the power of innocence, the need to keep resisting. And what would you say to Harry if you knew he were listening, Romulus?
I'd tell him that we're all with him in spirit, and I'd tell him to follow his instincts, which are good and nearly always right.
Nearly always right, Harry. Oh, didn't I tell you guys? Bill told me Lupin's living with Tonks again, and apparently she's getting pretty big, too. And our usual update of those friends of Harry Potter's who are suffering from their allegiance?
Well, as our regular listeners will know, several of the more outspoken supporters of Harry Potter have now been imprisoned, including Xenophilius Lovegood, editor of the Quibbler. At least he's still alive. We also know that within the last few hours of Rubeus Hagrid, well-known gamekeeper at Hogwarts School, has narrowly escaped arrest within the grounds of Hogwarts, where he is rumored to have hosted a Support Harry Potter party in his house. However, Hagrid was not taken into custody and is, we believe, on the run. I suppose it helps when escaping from Death Eaters that you've got a 16-foot-high half-brother. I would tend to give you an edge. May I just add that while we are here at Potter Watch applaud Hagrid's spirit, we would urge even the most devoted of Harry's supporters against following Hagrid's lead. Support Harry Potter parties are unwise in the present climate. Indeed they are, Romulus. So we suggest you that we continue to show your devotion to the men with the lightning star by listening to Potter Watch. And now let's move to news concerning the wizard who is proving just as elusive as Harry Potter. We refer to him as the Chief Death Eater, and here to give his views of some of the more insane rumors circulating about him, I'd like to introduce a new correspondent, Rodent. Rodent? It's Fred! No, wait, it's George. No, it's Fred, I think. I'm not being Rodent. No way. I told you I wanted to be Rapier. Oh, then, all right, Rapier. Could you please give us your take on the various stories we've been hearing about the Chief Death Eater? Yes, River, I can. As our listeners will know, unless they've taken refuge at the bottom of a garden pond or somewhere similar, you know whose strategy of remaining in the shadows is creating a nice little climate of panic. Mind you, if all the alleged sightings of him are genuine, we must have a good 19 you-know-who's running around all over the place. Which suits him, of course. The air of mystery is creating more terror than actually showing himself. Agreed. So people, let's try and calm down a bit. Things are as bad enough without inventing stuff as well. For instance, this idea that you-know-who can kill people with a single glance in his eyes, that's a basilisk, listeners. One simple test. Check whether the thing you're glaring at has got legs. If it has, it's safe to look at into the eyes. Although, if it really is you-know-who, it's probably going to be the last thing he'll ever do anyway. And Rapier, and the rumors that he has been being sighted abroad? Well, who wouldn't want a nice little holiday after all the work he's been putting in? Point is, people, don't get lulled into a false sense of security thinking he's out of the country. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But the fact still remains he can move faster than Severus Snape confronted with shampoo if he wants to, so don't count on him being a long way away if you're planning on taking any risks. I never thought I'd hear myself say it, but safety first. Thank you for those very wise words, Rapier. Listeners, that brings us to another end of Potter Watch. We don't know when it will be possible for us to broadcast again, but you can be sure we'll be back. Keep twiddling those dials. The next password will be Mad Eye. Keep each other safe. Keep faith. Good night. Good, eh? It's brilliant. It's so brave of them. If they were found, well, they keep on the move, don't they? Like us. But did you hear what Fred said? He's abroad. He's looking for the wand. I knew it. Harry. Oh, come on, Hermione. Why are you so determined not to admit it? Vol. No, Harry, no! Demort's after the Elder Wand. The name's taboo, Harry. I told you, Harry, I told you! We can't say it anymore. We've got to put the protection back around us quickly. It's how they find...
Come out of there with your hands up. We know you're in there. You've got half a dozen wands pointed at you and we don't care who we...